Hi, it's Tommy, aka Nana, and I'm a bright line eater, a bright lifer. This is how I live. I'm 63 years old. I live on beautiful Cape Cod, and I've been doing bright line eating for 622 days, and have reached maintenance and am in my bright size body, am living happy, thin, and free. And I'm making these videos to just show some of the things that I do to support my program, and to share my journey and hopefully help others on their journey as well too. I'm also doing the Autoimmune Protocol diet right now, so that's AIP, because I have Hashimoto's disease and autoimmune disease, and I also have had other symptoms that have to do with autoimmune issues. So I started the Autoimmune Protocol AIP a month and a half ago, and I'm going to share a recipe today that will work, that is both BLE compliant and AIP compliant. And it is a mushroom soup. It actually is a recipe by Anthony Bourdain that came out of Epicurious, a long time ago. I'm using it off a recipe that actually I think must have come out of the magazine, although somebody shared it with me. And 2004. And this is my adaptation of it to be both BLE and bright line eating and Autoimmune Protocol compliant. So I'm starting with an onion. I'm actually going to use 2 onions. I'm going to use a red onion and a yellow onion, and I'm just going to slice those. And I have a pan, I know you can see that one on the stove, with a little bit of olive oil. I didn't put very much olive oil because I just as soon. So while I'm at it, I'm going to talk about this. So I save like these little ends of the onions, and I put them in a plastic bag, and I put them in the freezer. And I'm using shiitake mushrooms and I guess portobello mushrooms, you know, these brown mushrooms. I'll use the whole thing in these mushrooms, but the shiitakes, I don't use the stems, but I put the stems in the freezer, and I use it then at a later time after I've collected the ends of carrots, the ends of celery, you know, a lot of different vegetables, maybe some stalks, the ends from asparagus that I'm not using. I put in a lot of different things, and I make my own broth. In fact, today I'm using some broth from the freezer that I made myself, that is purple because it has a lot of red onion skins in it, I guess. But it had a lot of like asparagus ends, and you know, I just use these. So let me see if I can show you. I am just going to slice these onions, and the recipe calls for only 1 small onion, but in bright line eating and Autoimmune Protocol, you want to have a lot of vegetables, and so I'm going to use more onion just to get more vegetables in there. And I like the flavor. So put this in a pan that I had heating up already, and then I will do this red onion here. Now see, this little end piece I will save along with the other yellow onion end piece, and this too. And I will put that into my my package that, you know, it seems like, I don't know, once a month or so, then I take it and I can just, you know, take all those vegetable pieces that I have in the freezer and put them in a pot, maybe put a bay leaf in it and just cover it with water so I don't even really know how much. I usually want to have 2 bags of vegetables before I go to the trouble. And I use these, I mean, you could, if you use like a gallon size bag, I used to make granola, and so I'm having trouble finding one. So I have these size bags that I used to put granola in. So once I fill up 2 of these bags, that's what I then use to make the vegetable broth. So, and I cover it with water, and I just let it, you know, bring it up to just, you know, around a boil. Turn it down to simmer and simmer it for about an hour. And then I, you know, either use it right away. I can put it in jars or put it in a bag to put in the freezer, or a jar to put in the freezer. If you use a jar, a glass jar, be sure to, whoops, 5-second rule. Be sure to make, to leave plenty of head space so that it doesn't crack your jar. I've had that happen. So let's bring you back up to here. So I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit and stir these around. It does suggest that you put some parsley in it. I have some parsley in the garden, so instead of, you know, leaving you to sit here while I run to the garden, I will do some cutting and splicing in my so I want to see that this weighs the amount that I want. So I'm gonna move you down to look at my mushrooms in a second. Again, I said I'm using these baby Bella mushrooms, and I'm using shiitake mushrooms, 2 different types of mushrooms. And I'm gonna take a second to wash the mushrooms. Take all my mushrooms and put them in here's another package. So and I know some people get worried about washing mushrooms. I don't. I don't know, I'm going to lose you being able to see because I have but yeah, I mean, it's a good idea to wash mushrooms. And recently there have been several articles that say, you know, some people are like, oh, the mushrooms will soak up all the water if you rinse them, and that just isn't true. So I definitely wash my mushrooms. So these mushrooms, once I take the time to, my high-tech thing here, to, you know, pinch off, cut off the stems, I will just, you know, slice them a little bit, put them in here. This is a soup that you're gonna puree. I know some people probably don't like to, on Bright Line eating, you know, eat things that they puree, but I don't find them triggering for me, so I do. So I'm looking for at least 12 ounces, and if it's more than that, then I'll probably just add some more broth. I'm needing to make sure that I keep stirring my onions that are over here sauteing. Turn it down a little bit and keep going here. This is kind of a soup that you can put together pretty quickly. It is better if it simmers on the stove for, I think the recipe asks you to let it simmer for about an hour, and it is much better. So this is for my lunch today, and it may not get to simmer that long because I'll be eating my lunch by, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and it's 11:30 now, so we'll see. Well, so you see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna pause and come back when I have finished chopping all these mushrooms, so that you don't have this boring task of just watching me chop mushrooms, because I've only gotten through about half of them right now, and I will come back and show you putting together the soup. So we'll be right back. So I've got some rosemary that I got from the garden and some parsley that I'm going to chop up and put in there. And then here are my, it turns out I only have 11 ounces of mushrooms, so it's good that I put in some extra onions. And I wanted to show you, so this is my little bag here of vegetables, parts that I don't eat. So there's actually the stalks from some kale, and just any part that, you know, I'm cutting off and might be edible. Onion skins are really good. They give it some color as well too. And so this is my little bag I keep in the freezer, and it's just vegetables. And like I said, when this bag fills up, I fill up a second bag, and when I have 2 bags, I make some vegetable broth, which here is a 32-ounce container of frozen vegetable broth. As I said before, this had red onion skins in it, so that's why it's got that kind of purpley color going on. So here we've got the onions doing nicely here, and I'm going to add in the mushrooms. Guess there's, if I added them in. So I'm gonna let them just saute for a little while before I add anything else. So it actually says to let the mushrooms saute for about 8 minutes. So that's what I'm going to do. I won't leave you guys here the entire time. And then I did chop up some parsley and some I have an abundance of rosemary in the garden, and it just smells so woodsy, and it seems to me that that woodsy you know, flavor will do wonders for the soup as well too. So I will put that in, but you wait and put that in with the broth after the 8 minutes. So I won't make you guys stay here for 8 minutes. I will turn this off and come back and show you those final steps. Okay, so here it is. The 8 minutes are up. It's all sweated, and I'm going to add my spices, my parsley and chopped up parsley and fresh parsley and fresh rosemary. And then now I'm pouring in, and this was frozen, so the ice cube is going to go in there too for my vegetable broth. And we're gonna turn up the heat, and I'm going to do my best to push everything down. And I think this is the right amount of liquid. I will, you know, reevaluate when I go to immerse it, and you know, I could add in some water at that point, or if I had it more vegetable broth. I don't have it, so I probably won't add in more vegetable broth. But again, with this vegetable broth, one of the good things is that you're getting in, you know, a variety of, you know, some of the vitamins and minerals in the broth from a lot of different vegetables. But the other thing is, mushrooms are supposedly very, very good for you. And in this, there's a variety of mushrooms, and I always try, you know, you don't always have access to a variety of mushrooms, but I order from Misfits Market, which I'll put a link to Misfits in this post. And you can, you know, order a variety of different kinds of mushrooms and use those. And then also, you know, I mean, you can use some dried mushrooms, dried shiitakes. I've used those in that, you know, reconstitute them and use that as well too. But just using, you know, a few different kinds of mushrooms. I don't even know some of the kinds that I get. I don't even remember the names of them, but through Misfits, whenever they have some different kinds of mushrooms, I try to order those. And I live in a place where people go and pick mushrooms, but I have not done that successfully. I'm happy to eat any that people successfully have gotten and given to me, which I have done and haven't had any ill side effects. Supposedly on the Cape, I mean, there are people come from all over the place on the Cape to harvest mushrooms, but supposedly none of the mushrooms here could seriously injure you. They might make you a little sick, but none of them are going to cause your demise. So anyway, that's the mushroom soup. It's going to come to a boil and then simmer covered for an hour. And when I enjoy it later and get to doing the immersion blender, I will come back and show you that. Okay, so here we are to the point of using the immersion blender. This is been on the stove cooking for about an hour, simmering. And now we're just gonna the recipe from Anthony Bourdain, you know, it was 2004, there wasn't even immersion blenders. So it was telling you to pull it off and put it in a blender. I suppose you can do that. Now, this is not a cream of mushroom soup in the sense that it has no cream. It's just, you know, pretty simple. Just onions, mushrooms, and broth. Of course, you could use a bone broth if you'd like to, a chicken bone broth. I use the vegetable broth, so this version is vegetarian, but making it with a bone broth would be absolutely fine. In fact, his original recipe called for chicken broth. But as I said, I make my own vegetable broth, and I had a lot of that on hand. I didn't have as much bone broth, so I am just making it this way. And as you can see, that is, I'm expecting someone to call in a few minutes, so I'm a little bit in a hurry, but I'm going to take a bowl and spoon up. I do 12 ounces of vegetables, and so I'm going to get, but I only want to do 6 ounces of this today because I have something else I'm going to eat that has vegetables in it. So I'm going to do 6 and 4. I'm going to do 10 ounces of this soup, 6 ounces of vegetables. Maybe I'll do 12 ounces, and 6 ounces of broth. So, 2, 3, and so you've got your onions, your spices, and your so I did 12 ounces. So here it is. I will take this up and grab a spoon and have a taste. I didn't put any salt in it, so it definitely needs some salt now. And of course you could, you know, salt the whole pot. Again, I'm not doing pepper right now, so a pepper would be a nice addition. And The original recipe had you adding some NMD, some sherry. Very good. Really tasty. I can smell that rosemary as well too, but excellent. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I invite you to like, subscribe, put in the comments if there's something else you'd like me to do a video on, and I will try to do that to the best of my ability. And I hope you have a beautiful, bright day.